Okay, I will admit, Kawaki's development in this episode was actually amazing, and I wish we actually got to the manga, but for the anime, this was amazing character development for Kawaki. Seeing how, oh, he was still trying to escape, and but yet that dog was trying to follow him. He was trying to get that meat from the dog, and the fact that he was so hungry, he had barely any chakra. He was bleeding, his arm was bleeding out, and despite all that, he gave the meat to the dog because when you're hungry, you're willing to do anything it takes to satisfy yourself. And the fact that he still that humanity left inside of him to at least give the dog a fighting chance, I can respect that about Kawaki because not a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people in his shoe would have done that, and especially with a path like his. At that, I can admire. And seeing how even after that, after he tried to get food to the dog, he tried to scare the dog away because he has this complex where you cannot trust anybody. Even if they give you help in the first place, deny them all the way through. He tried to get them to leave, so you have to be alone. The only person that you can trust is himself, and that's the kind of mentality that Kawaki has. With, I mean, I can't necessarily disagree with that mentality at 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 least to the way he's been progressing so far. Because the way he's progressing, his dad basically sold him out. He's been on his own. Everybody everybody thinks of him as a tool, at least in Kara, and he hasn't had anyone that he could rely on. He could really rely on and absolutely trust. He never had that kind of relationship with anybody before, and the closest so far we got to with that was Sumire, because their backstory is very similar because they were both started of tools in the very beginning of their arc, and seeing how Sumire was one of the few that could understand Kawaki's pain and his past, despite him not even telling him his past is amazing to me. Considering how the fact that those random guys who were trying to use their fireball jutsu or whatever that thing was from their shinobi tool. I hate those guys because they even try to at least at the bare minimum understand Kawaki because he wasn't really doing that much harm. Like sure, yeah, he was choking her, choking Sumire, but that was out of self protection because he has that PTSD. It is very difficult to get rid of that fear that he has. And seeing how they immediately tried to subdue him down, despite the fact that the president, not the president, class rep, Sumire was there right with them. They were perfectly willing to bring an innocent into this mess. There are so many ways to go around this, but yet they decided to bring an innocent. If as long as it means taking down Kawaki, they are willing to take down an innocent along with him. When I hate that mentality because there's no way there's no way they would have been able to capture Kawaki just only using that method alone. There are other ways to go about it, and the fact that they went about it that way clearly showed that they don't care about Kawaki. They're not they're trying to be understanding at least. And the fact that the Shinobi world has progressed this far, there's still people who don't give a crap about your past, what his reasoning behind this, and it is crazy to me because it's one of those things where how Naruto was another one that who really gave focus to Kawhi. He was ready to understand his pain. He saw his pain, and he realized he was just putting up a front, not acting, trying to act just so he can escape and have some sort of freedom. Naruto can recognize that he had a terrible past. He knows what Kawaki's past uh, could could potentially have been. It was awful. Obviously, he knows that. There was something bad at the bare minimum in his past. Naruto at least has to acknowledge that, which obviously he does. And I think it's interesting seeing how Naruto and Sumire were the only two who understood that. Boruto didn't understand that at all, along with all the other people, which go all the way back to what Hashirama said. I was saying how you can't understand people if you without fighting it out, without talking it out. Because when Madara lost his brother to Tobirama, and Hashirama realized that the only way to settle this conflict is he kills himself. They will both lose a sibling, and they will be on an equal playing field, so they can understand people's heart. And cause Madara was not an evil guy at that point, and seeing how they were willing to go so far, despite him not actually saying what needs to be done, he still tried to kill himself. And when you go back to here, it still shows that not that many people are willing not that many people are willing to understand Kawaki, which is a damn shame considering how much the Shinobi world has progressed. Like I keep saying, because the Shinobi world has allies basically all around the world, and when you see stuff like this shit happening, I really don't like those kind of people, especially given the fact that the people inherently just are gonna have a bad past, and they're gonna do bad things, and not because they are evil they have the evil in their heart, because they genuinely have to escape or have any sort of sense of freedom, and that's what Kawaki's trying to do. Hopefully he'll have that freedom and actually be able to live his life in peace, but obviously due to the first episode, that's not going to happen. I don't know how he gets to that point, but I guess we'll just have to find out and see where the progression takes us from Kawaki, from this Kawaki to all the way to grown-up Kawaki, I suppose. But otherwise, let me know your thoughts on this episode at home, and I'll see you guys on next.